So I didn't have a mentor when I first stepped into that first CPO role, and I think if I had, it really would have been transformational.
I would have loved to have had a mentor at the time that I walked into this business. I was lucky in that I'd got a great network, so I did pull on a few pals who had got the t-shirt before me, but it tended to be more in a looser way. I think a mentor could have really helped me really dig into some of the challenges I was facing, be a really great sounding board, and I would have loved some of their war stories to make me feel as though actually this is not unusual.
I think if I'd had somebody by my figurative side who'd been there, who had gone through what I was going through, who could give me support, both emotional and practical, insight, guidance, a perspective, I think my whole experience of the transition would have been very different, and I think my mental health and well-being actually would have benefited.
I've had amazing mentors that, when I've been depressed or when I've been at my lowest, they've really helped me. They've helped support me to continue being who I am. I think, sometimes I struggle and think, am I in the wrong environment, or is there something wrong with me? And they've really encouraged me to continue being me and have given me that extra support and confidence when I've really needed it.
I was really lucky because I worked with, in particular, 2 businesses that were early adopters of mentoring. When I went into my first CPO role, because I knew that I had this gap in knowledge of the industry and the fashion industry, and if I was to be able to partner this business to develop a really compelling employer and talent proposition, I needed to know what how the industry rocked in what was a very close-knit, very creative, sometimes temperamental industry. And so I met this wonderful woman who I'm still great business friends with now. Who absolutely just, we would meet for breakfast once a month for the first 6 months, and she would give me a 1.5 hour masterclass of everything to do with fashion related retail, from high street through to luxury.
I think sometimes it's a really great sounding board, like when you're going through any situation, and that they're very objective. I think that's really important, that I don't want them just to support me. If I'm doing something wrong, I want them to tell me to. Sometimes you can feel really alone in the people space, and I think, I've trusted the wrong people in my team before and things like that. And because trust is so important, I think they're a voice of reason for you. Sometimes you can vent to them, you can discuss certain situations.
I think a mentor can really help you at every stage of your career. If I look at mine, most recent role as a Chief People Officer, it's changed a lot. I was first of all establishing the function. Then the business went through a lot of change and complexity, which again would have been useful to have somebody as a sounding board to really help me think those through. And also along the way, you always get challenges that can be a bit unusual, that you've not faced before for you. But I'm sure you'll come across other people who have got the t-shirt in respect of these.
The other mentor I got through that particular role was a senior HR mentor. How it helped then was in having somebody that was a go-to to stress test ideas, strategies, structures for new solutions, and to really think those through before I was then sort of going in to present that into the business. And that really helped me to expand, and make sure that I was covering all the bases, but also actually then preparing for how I was going to present those ideas, particularly into a business that wasn't used to operating at that level.
When I look back, I absolutely made some mistakes. I think I probably was more hesitant at times than I could otherwise have been or would otherwise have been, possibly a little more indecisive at times. And again, I think if I'd had an experienced mentor by my side for that really would have accelerated my route to optimum performance, which would absolutely have benefited the business.
What's great from a mentor, and I know the people that I've spoken to in the past and sought counsel from, they'll give you the difficult stories when it's not gone so well as the good ones. And actually sometimes when it hasn't gone so well is when you can do the most learning.
I think it's having somebody else as a sounding board, who has an alternative perspective, who has insight that they can bring to bear on a particular challenge or opportunity that you're facing.
There was another time I had a mentor. I had 2 young kids, and so it was a combination. It was a very, very demanding, really enjoyable role, but the business was, was kind, but it was in an era where actually you didn't have all of the flexibility in the world to be able to, to take where you could go into work. So that was a really important time where I also took a sort of mentor that could really sort of help me through, being brilliant at what I did at work, but also, making sure and helping me to make sure I was sort of balanced, because otherwise I could have definitely just, worked 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
There may be experiences to do with, again, it could be at the most senior levels, it could be exco or board, employee relations matters or dynamics, which due to their nature and then their heightened sensitivity, you just can't talk to anybody internally about. It would just be totally inappropriate. So having a really trusted, totally confidential partner that again you can bounce ideas around with, you can test your thinking, your ideas, you can run a number of different scenarios and kind of so what's and what ifs. Having that really kind of trusted ally and that support, I think again could accelerate that CPO's ability to drive things forwards for the benefit of absolutely everybody involved.